Okay, YouTube. Yeah, you guys were like, cool. The Yasuo video was helpful. Now we're making an Ekko one, and again, you know, these characters are super strong. So let's talk about some of the obvious things. You know, like one of the super annoying things with Ekko is Time Winder. Okay, so there's a universal answer: parry. Right, every character can parry it and punish him. If you're fighting an Ekko that throws out a lot of Time Winder, that's one of your options. I get it, not really what you were expecting. That is an option, parry. Or if you have a projectile invincible move, you can throw that out too. Like, I'm sure you guys are fighting Ekkos that also do this, right? If you have a projectile invulnerable move, you could throw it out. And it's a punish. Like, Ekko doesn't recover until he hits the ground. So you could do like Ilaoi's Rekka. You can do Vi Sway or her punch. You could just air dash over it with Ari or do your S1 super. There are answers to it. You just have to be mindful of things like tag. But I guess for the sake of these examples, don't think about tag. Just think about like, I could do this as a punish. The tag comes later. That's like something you have to play as the match plays out. So just remember that. All right, so this one's a little bit more annoying, but it still revolves around parry. It's parrying Mega Time Winder when there's a gap, right? So the distance is pretty weird. If you are point blank, it is just one parry. So it's one parry if you're point blank. If you're anything besides point blank, it's typically two. If you're spaced out a little bit, it's two parries. Yes, I know this is silly. I wish they would make it to where it's just 5 parries on Mega Time Winder and it just disappears and then you kill Ekko. But that's not the case right now. And if you're anything further, it's 3 parries. I don't think there's ever a world where it's 4 parries. Maybe if you play, you know, some of the bigger characters like Blitzcrank. I mean, we'll find out right now. Yeah. So maybe the bigger characters like Blitzcrank, Warwick would be 4 parries at max range. I'm not sure. But 1 parry point blank, 2 parries if you're slightly out of point blank. And then if you're pretty far, it's 3 parries. Alternatives, if you have a projectile invulnerable super, you can do that. Frame 1, you know, level 3, just keep it simple. Yes, I know, understand it's annoying, but until they find a proper solution for this is how you have to do it. We have another parry one, but I promise you this one is much easier to do. So if you find an Ekko that likes to 6S1, there's a gap between the second and the third hit of 6S1 where you can always parry. You can always parry this move. Again, you know, the counterplay would be like a rewind to a clone or something like that. So if they do something like this, then they could bait your parry. There's something to consider, but if there's no clone, let it rock. There's always a gap. Always a gap unless they have an assist cover the gap. But then at that point, it's just like, you might as well try to parry anyway in case they mess up. For those of you that didn't know, now you know. Okay, now we're kind of moving past parrying. Again, parry is a strong option, but there's a lot of times where it could be risky, you know, outside of some situations. We're going to go into Ekko's hop, right? I'm sure a lot of you people have been in this situation. Ekko jumps. Oh, whoops, sorry. Ekko jumps, he hops, and then he blows up your 2H, right? I would suggest trying to air Ekko in these situations. Maybe you want to air throw him. Boom. You catch the hop. Maybe you want to air, or just avoiding the situation altogether. Again, anti-airing is probably the worst option. There are some characters that have such a strong anti-air that you can cover relatively both heights if he does or does not hop. You know, Ari could probably do it. Yasuo can do it, as you can see. Good way to beat this is just air him, right? You see him jumping, jump button him, jump throw him. Oh my god, I whiffed, don't look at me. Jump throw him, maybe just dash under again if you don't want to avoid it. Because characters that can stall their air momentum, they're trying to bait your 2H, right? They're trying to bait your anti-air. Usually they can, but some characters' anti-airs are so egregious that it doesn't matter to them, but that's not the case for every character. Now we're going to talk about some retreating guard options versus Ekko. It's pretty good against him because his buttons already have a lot of pushback, right? Like Ekko can't do medium, heavy into launcher on block. So let's talk about retreating guard on Ekko's block strings, because again, you know, he has a lot of pushback on his moves. So he gets 2 moves at most, and then he backs off, or you back off from him. There are some things to consider. There's this super advanced, well, I don't know if I'm gonna call it super advanced, but here, I'll just show you, right? So if I do this incorrectly, I will get blown up by the low, right? If you don't frame one push block the jab or near frame one push block the jab, you're gonna get hit, right? Typically, like you get caught there. Now, there's this more advanced form of retreating guard where you delay the retreating guard slightly after the move hits you because it'll give you extra pushback. Because you're getting the pushback from the move and then the pushback from the retreating guard. So I'll slow it down here with the game's own mechanic and training mode. So block the jab, delay this, let it push me back, and then I retreat and guard. This is like super advanced stuff, but I feel like it's good to share because this is just like a universal mechanic that you can do defensively. And again, if you don't do it correctly, you get caught by the low. But this works around having to do a frame 1, frame 2 push block on something like a light, which is difficult to react to, you know. You're not really reacting the first couple frames of a jab, but you can react during the hit stop of it when you block. And this shows that you can still avoid, you know, Ekko's crouching medium because you're using the pushback from the stand medium plus the pushback from the retreating guard to avoid it. And again, just to show you what happens if you mess it up, you do get caught low, right? So get hit by the jab, delay a little bit, and then don't delay anything, and then you get caught by the low. Again, it's more advanced, but I feel like this is reasonable to share as it's a skill that you can take to any matchup. You probably won't see this too much at, you know, once you like reach the higher level Echoes. I don't know how it is at the lower levels. You could correct me. I would imagine at the lower levels, Ekko players are probably doing this, right? So if they commit to that rewind, you can parry it. There's always a gap here, no matter what, unless they use an assist. Of course, they can do this, right? This is what Ekko players do at the higher level to avoid it. But this is an RPS situation that heavily favors you if you guess correctly, because if you guess that he's gonna just rewind to go away, you can punish him. This move is super negative. It's giga negative, right? And of course, it's a guess. But fighting games have guesses in them. That's just the structure of them. That's the basis of how they work. You just have to accept that as a fact of fighting games. And their reward for committing to this, if you do a dash in, is super. It's the only thing they can do if you guess wrong. And then they get the follow up from the super, obviously, but it costs them a bar. And they might have no meter. Again, you have to weigh out, like, is my reward worth it for landing this hit? And if I guess correctly as a Yasuo player, like, let me just give you an example of like what my reward could be, you know. I'll do a medium punish because if I'm committing to this, I'm gonna use my medium, right? So I could do something like this, you know, boom. Obviously, you do the standard combo, and then I get to extend with my assists, you know. You know, time winder, whatever, blah blah. He explodes, right? Like, his trade-off is 40% some damage. If I have the resources, I could probably eliminate the problem. But again, it's a favor that's more so skewed on your side because the value in your trade-off is much higher than what the Ekko can get in terms of damage, at least early in the round. Or RPS, rock, paper, scissors, but it's skewed in your favor. The other alternative to this situation, if you don't want to interact with it, is if it is hit from far enough and you use the pushback tech, right? You just retreating guard and then you just make the heavy whiff, right? And then it's your turn. He is negative. He does have to respect what you do here. I mean, he could YOLO out with like parry or something like that, right? But yeah, if you don't want to deal with that entire situation and you learn how to deal with it and retreating guard properly, you just avoid the entire situation, which is the best thing you can do in this game, is avoid situations. But if you find yourself caught in it, those are your options. Now we're going to talk about Helmbreaker or JS2. So a little fun fact about this move: it has a giant hitbox. Not going to downplay it. Just for a heads up, the first part of this move is not an overhead. The second part is. So if you've ever been hit by this and you wondered why, it's because that version is an overhead. It is incredibly unsafe if they do it. If they opt for this, you murder them. You are -11, right? Most characters can punish at that range. The one you do have to be aware of is if they do Mega Time Winder, right? Mega Time Winder, does it keep it safe? I'm actually going to learn something right now. No, Mega Time Winder does not keep this safe. So there's a couple cool things going on here, right? If they Time Winder, you parry, as I showed you earlier, right? If they do the install super, you murder them. But what happens if you try to hit a button after they spend both, right? You get hit. You know, it's essentially a frame trap, right? Which is kind of silly, no matter how fast you do it. Now, by the time you actually react to it as a human being, what's cool is during the super flash in the middle of a button, you can still parry. So again, if you commit to a move during the flash of the super, just parry. Because you have in here I'll show you. You have a 3-frame window. Look at that. So you get it on the 3rd frame, right? So the 2 green is the startup, and that's just you canceling the startup of a move into parry. That's why I said advise to have a parry button so you don't accidentally have quote-unquote startup, as you can see on the frame bar. But again, if you hit a button during a super freeze, you should still try to parry anyway, as it may be in the cancel window. And of course, the last obvious answer is just anti-air. Obviously, this is the hardest one. It's hard to react to, but I don't want people going in the comment section saying, well, Cloud, you didn't say to 2H it. Like, yeah, you can 2H it. It's an airborne move, but like realistically, are you going to 2H it? No. Am I going to 2H it? Probably not. So you have to deal with the post situation afterwards, you know? Did forget to cover this. How many times do you parry Mega Time Winder in the corner? 7 times. It hit 7 times in the corner, and it's 7 parries in the corner. Yeah, a little hard to do. Definitely something you have to practice. But if you pull it off... Oh, I missed it. See? If you pull it off, he's -20. So you can get a full punish. Again, it's silly. I really do think it should just be like a static number of like 5. It's easier to count. Easier to realize you've done 5 parries. Because the more times you have to parry, the harder it is to do it consecutively when it's something that fast. Alright, now let's get to probably the most annoying thing most players have to deal with versus Ekko, especially because like you don't really understand how this functions, is the install. Okay, so if the opponent does this correctly, again, this is on your opponent to do it correctly. If they do it correctly, they can see the tech option. So you saw for a split second I rolled forward there, I got punished, right? Your opponent is using the super freeze to see what you do on wake up here. I back rolled, they see I back rolled, they rewind, they throw me. That's the big issue with this super. Now, I think it should be harder to throw tech rolls. I don't think you should be able to use a super freeze to throw a tech roll in a situation like this, because it just makes it too difficult to interact in this moment. Like, this is free. This is 100% free. And if you opt to not do anything, you have to wake up into Time Winder, right? They could back off and do it like that to space it out, or they can do the meaty ones. So this is where I would recommend having a parry button when it comes to parrying the Time Winder on wake up, because if you don't have a parry button, that could happen. Even though I attempted to parry it, you see I was 1 frame off from doing parry. If you see my inputs on the left, I hit L for 1 frame and then I hit heavy. So there's probably been times where you try to parry this on wake up and you got hit, but you're like, well, I parried and I was holding back, so why didn't I block? Yeah, do a parry button. It's very crucial to get your parry on frame 1, because you're going to get hit by meaty Time Winder. You have to guess on this Oki, right? Obviously, I've shown you forward tech, back tech. If your opponent does it correctly, you get thrown every time. It's very pivotal to have your parry button set. You parry the Time Winder, and then you have to take a guess. You can get up attack as well. Some people will try get up attack to see if their opponent goes for the beat get up attack option. There are a few options that beat get up attack. They also beat parry. Like, it's a broken setup. 1000% this needs to be nerfed. But until that happens, again, it's broken record here. This is how we have to deal with it. So boom, boom, right? You parry it, you risk the jump. You can jump out depending on your character's option. Maybe you could punish him, maybe you could hit him on the way down. But the important thing is trying to get out. Now, this is what happens if your opponent guesses that you parry, they meet you. Again, I don't like it. I play the character. I still don't agree with it. So let's say you land the parry, but at the same time, there's this side to go low. You get clipped. Whoever decided projectiles should not be parryable low, we need to talk. Because since it's meaty, you have to parry low. They hit on the same frame, but the game has a priority system where if you parry a meaty move, I believe it's same frame anyway. I hope it's same frame, please. You parry the physical hit, and then you're impervious to whatever's on top of you, right? Again, it's not a good solution, but it's all that we have outside of just blocking it, which is the other option. Let's say you do decide to block the wake up Time Winder. If your opponent jumps, they're gonna rewind. This rewind will always pull them out of the corner. So just remember that you blocked the time winder, they jumped, they're obviously going to rewind, and they get a cross up low mix. Just remember that. Just to show, you know, what else could possibly happen, or like other setups he has, is if this beats the get up attack option, he rolls in the corner, avoids the get up attack, he can't get a combo off of it. I missed it, but it's just for the sake of the example, right? So the big thing about that is he ends up behind you, so he gets other options, right? And here's the cruel reality of this situation, is even if you make a hard call out and you parry and hit a button, there's still a chance you could whiff. Like, you're gonna see me whiff my jab here, and you know, I'll slow this down in editing. But I whiff my jab because the rewind has invulnerability. It's questionable as to why, but it's something that you should be knowledgeable about. I think that's it. I probably missed some stuff. If I did, please put it in the comments below. There's a lot to deal with this character, especially just the corner Oki bullshit. Mid screen, they have to make a hard call out on your roll when they do the install, because they can't like set up a time winder and then chase your back tech roll most of the time. They can sometimes if they make a call out for it. I wouldn't worry too much about Ekko Oki. I almost said Oki. Mid screen, in terms of catching your tech roll, because Ekko would have to make a pretty hard read, right? Like, yes, a read. Okay, you're doing back roll. Again, still in his favor. Silly. You know anything else I missed, please let me know. I'd love to hear it, because we have to find ways to fight these characters, and I'm trying to give you every idea I could think of to fight my team. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye!